It's a shameful part of Illinois' past, dirty secrets hidden in real estate deeds.
I-Team reporter Doug Wolfe tonight investigates the use of racially restrictive real estate documents that kept minorities from buying property in white neighborhoods that are still in county records today.
Quiet, peaceful, residential neighborhoods, hiding dirty secrets of a racist past.
Can't sell or lease.
Unless they're white.
Correct.
Real estate deeds and other documents with restrictions prohibiting the sale of property to anyone who was black, Asian, foreign, or Jewish, known as racial covenants, a legally binding remnant of days long ago that still exists in some official documents in 2021.
It's not just Champaign County, this is an everywhere problem.
With the help of county recorders in Macon, Champaign, and Sangamon counties, we found restrictive racial covenants buried, hidden away in county records dating back 70 years, dirty deeds and real estate records. Although no longer legally enforceable, they are evidence of Central Illinois' racist past, when bankers, real estate agents, lawyers, and the government actively sought to benefit white property owners at the expense of all others, mostly black people. June Chappelle's family moved from the South to Springfield, the one-time home of Abraham Lincoln, looking for a better life and better housing.
When they got there, they were, met with the shock of another form of racism.
That other form of racism is known as redlining. Maps of cities were drawn showing 4 different colors: green for the low-risk white neighborhoods and red for what were considered high-risk minority neighborhoods.
They literally took a red pencil and drew it around black neighborhoods, and then they could rationalize charging higher prices.
If there was a neighborhood that they deemed to be black or bad, it was usually colored in red, which is where the term redlining came from.
Loans, higher interest rates to be in black neighborhoods.
We found, using internet searches, redlining maps from the 1930s for both Sangamon and Macon counties. Our investigation has found the racial covenants were fairly common throughout central Illinois. Many of those covenants are still in existence today. And how did they become so common? Well, blame the federal government.
Beginning in '34, the government certainly plays a major role.
Our research discovered this 1938 government underwriting manual, which called restrictive covenants more effective than zoning, warning of what it called infiltration of inharmonious racial groups. We met with Champaign County recorder Mike Ingram.
You're the first to come in since I've been here to ask about this particular issue.
Mike went through old, long-forgotten Champaign County records for us to find properties with racial restrictions.
You look at the plat books that have a lot of things from especially in the 40s, and yeah, you're gonna see it a lot. Specifically says cannot be sold or leased to anyone not of the Caucasian race.
In Macon County, not only were there restrictions on the living, we found this cemetery had restrictions on the dead. At one time, only whites could be buried here. In 1926, the United States Supreme Court ruled racially restrictive real estate contracts were lawful, allowing the real estate industry, banks, and lawyers to discriminate in neighborhoods across the country. In 1948, the Supreme Court ruled the covenants were illegal, but that did not stop the restrictions from being placed into real estate paperwork.
The Supreme Court ruled against it. That did not stop places and people from still continuing to do it and trying to maintain the ones that they already had on the books.
There's always a morphine and a transformation into a newer form of racial oppression.
Sundiata Kaita Jua teaches African American Studies and U.S. History at the University of Illinois. Growing up in Decatur, he found discrimination extended beyond redlining.
I was 12 in '65, and we still had to go to the balcony at the Lincoln Theater in Decatur.
At the Rogers Theater in Decatur, he couldn't even get in the door.
We can't sell you a ticket, and I didn't comprehend. I'm that young, right? And they said, no, we won't let black people in.
The distrust whites had for blacks even carried into this century.
When we moved here in 2001, some of our neighbors would come and peek in the window to see if we, were we gonna keep the house up. We're gonna let it, lower the property values.
as a product of redlining as well. It was something that I didn't think a lot about as a kid, but I never saw white people in our neighborhood unless they were teachers.
Dirty deeds hiding dirty little secrets. For the I-Team in Champaign, Doug Wolfe, WAND News.
Interesting. While many racial covenants are still on the books, there is a move underway to help property owners remove them. That story tomorrow night, right here on WAND News at 10.
Real estate deeds and documents from the 1930s and 40s with racial covenants keeping African Americans from moving into white neighborhoods or getting loans even to purchase a home.
That's right. Those covenants can no longer be enforced, but do still exist in many cases.
And we're signing, our lives away when we're sitting down, at these closings and not realizing that there's this lingering kind of racism.
I-Team reporters Doug Wolfe and Jacqueline Boatman report tonight on legislative efforts to remove those covenants at little cost to the home or business owner.
It's a dirty little secret, a stain on the history of the land of Lincoln.
But it's one of those kind of secrets that still exist on the books. And it's this, again, another relic that people are just not aware of.
Redlining, a systematic effort in the 30s and 40s to keep blacks and other minorities from buying homes in white neighborhoods.
And it's redlining because they literally took a red pencil and drew it around black neighborhoods, and then they could rationalize charging higher prices.
Maps from the 30s and 40s show Springfield and Decatur neighborhoods in 4 different colors. The best white neighborhoods in green, black neighborhoods in red, impacting the ability of minorities to get bank loans. Many real estate deeds and other paperwork with restrictive covenants prohibiting the sale or occupancy of a property by anyone other than whites. Some of those covenants, although unenforceable, are still on the books today and virtually unremovable without a court order.
I would love to see something happen in Illinois where you actually could much more easily, if you were a homeowner or part of an HOA or something, could go in and more easily get rid of them.
As WAND's Jacqueline Boatman discovered, some lawmakers are attempting to finally make racial covenants a thing of the past.
Taking these covenants out of deeds can be pretty pricey, but one lawmaker wants to change that by streamlining the process and topping the bill out at just $10.
This 1967 sets forth a procedure for requesting a modification by submitting their request to a recorder for a county where the property is located. So essentially it allows entities or individuals to remove language for unlawful restrictive covenants.
Right now, if you have a restrictive covenant on your deed that you want off, it's not an easy process.
There is a process. It's not really clear, but it is very difficult. There's a lot of bureaucratic red tape. But what I know, what I've been able to uncover is that one primary method of removing a covenant is a written release.
No one is confident on how to go about removing the wording. The most common suggestion is to lawyer up, which could cost you.
So that's a legal process, and that could be very costly and very expensive.
However, many people could have these covenants in their deeds and never even know it. That's because they aren't enforceable. But the small line tucked into many deeds could cause a lot of problems.
Now, although racial covenants are no longer enforceable, they are offensive and may even encourage racial sentiment.
As WAND started investigating these covenants, a lawmaker proposed Senate Bill 1967. It would take the legal work out of it and allow county recorders to take them out, costing you $10 or less.
Hopefully we will be on that path again to provide this clear path, cost-effective way for people to just remove these unlawful restrictive covenants and just to, again, begin the healing.
It's a similar bill 3 other states have, and many others are considering.
This is also an opportunity to remove yet another relic of our country's racist history.
Redlining, racial restrictions, hidden efforts to keep African Americans out of white Illinois neighborhoods. For the I-Team in Decatur, Doug Wolfe.
And I'm Jacqueline Boatman.
WAND News.
There are additional forms of racism from decades ago which still impact minorities today. Real estate was not the only area where African Americans were discriminated against. Even the New Deal under Franklin D. Roosevelt wasn't a very good deal for minorities. When negotiations were underway to create Social Security, Congress had to appease Southern lawmakers. So they simply eliminated the benefit for certain workers.
Southern senators insist that you exclude domestic workers and farm workers. Well, that excluded 60% of employed black labor.
African Americans also lost their homes and neighborhoods when property was taken by the government for the creation of the interstate highway system and for the creation of business districts in post-World War II America.